Welcome to the Swinging Lights. We've spent a lot of time in the past just uploading a bunch of my backpacking trip that I did with some of my friends, and I wanted to put those out there, those episodes, because I really, really love those people. They're a big influence on my life, and I don't know how else to say it. They're great people, and they deserved a podcast episode, each and every one of them, so that happened. But this episode today is getting back to me and Chris's banter. Chris is a great guy. I just want all of you to know he's probably one of my absolute best friends. When I got divorced a number of years ago, all my friends just scattered like a bunch of fucking cockroaches. I don't think that they knew how to deal with the sadness, the depression, the loss, and so instead of sticking by me and helping me through it, most people just kind of scattered because it was scary. Or maybe their wives were like, hey man, I don't want you hanging around him. But Chris contacted me almost daily. There were days where I wanted to end my life, it wasn't the divorce that made me sad. It was the loss of control that I had over my kid. The court system ruled in favor of my ex-wife having all the authority and control and decision making over my child, our child, not my child, our child. And that was really, really difficult. And I was in a very dark place. And Chris contacted me every day, and he's absolutely one of my best friends, and I really love the hell out of this guy. But when we do our podcast episodes together, they're some of my favorite podcasts because we talk about some weird shit. We never know where it's going to take us, where the conversation's going to go. Chris is he's got 2 Jack Russells. One of his Jack Russells is at the end of his life, the end stages of life, and I know it's very difficult for him. He loves the hell out of that dog, Stu. And so we talk about that a little bit at the beginning of this episode. We talk about his dog and the sadness and some of the tough decisions you have to make as a pet owner when your dog gets to that point where it's almost time to let him go. We don't know if it really is or it isn't. That's really, really hard. A hard decision. Any of you who have actually gone through that experience knows what I'm referring to. But we also talk about music and a bunch of other crazy shit during this episode. So life is good. Can't complain. Music's going well. Gigs are going well. Friendships are going great. I don't have any complaints right now. I think life truly is what you decide to make of it. You can choose to focus on all the negative shit in the world, or you can choose to focus on the positive and maybe even create some of the positive stuff. But I feel like at this point in my life, things are good. I don't have any complaints. Got good friends, got a good job, making music, doing this podcast. Don't have any complaints. So without any further ado, let's get into this episode. Thanks once again for listening and for all of you who have taken the time to give us good reviews. Appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
And getting pills down my dog is seriously the most stressful part of my day every day.
What's his deal, man?
Oh, dude, most dogs don't like getting pills, and he gets real
You don't just
expert.
wrap it up in some meat and give it to him?
That doesn't work. He's gotten expert at sorting it out. He'll even sort it out of peanut butter. You know.
No shit.
Yeah, he's a king of it. I mean, you can cram it in the middle of a piece of meat so you think it's totally hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, there's been a couple times where I crammed it in the back of his throat
Yeah.
in a piece of meat. And then, like, just a couple minutes later, he just goes, "Clack!" And all that shoots out is the pill, you know? And you're like, how? There has to be, like, some sentient being in the back of your throat there doing that. That doesn't make any sense.
He's a fucking wizard dog.
No, it's not him, man. Because the thing is I've watched there's all sorts of YouTube videos of people trying to give their dogs, showing the magic that they do of getting the pills back out. Dogs are just, they hate the goddamn pill and they don't want to swallow it. And
Well, I thought he was like old, lost his
he,
sense of smell and taste. So, you think he's actually tasting the pill? Just being like, ah, God.
he doesn't have a loss of taste at all. He's got a loss of smell and sight, but he's actually pickiest
Isn't
he's ever
smell
been in
and
his
taste
life.
like the same thing?
I
If you
would
lose your
think,
sense of
but
smell,
he's
you
not.
can't taste.
He's not completely smell blind. He's just smell weird, you know. But he's for sure got some smelling loss. But I actually don't think that's from age. I think that's from his direct skunk sprays.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
But
My father-in-law, you know how he's a mammologist. His buddy spent a lot of time with skunks, man. He got blasted a few times studying skunks, and he can't smell or taste anymore.
yeah, I
Like the
think,
direct,
and I
like the
sometimes
direct
wonder if
hit from a skunk is like can destroy.
I
your
do
sense of
wonder if a
smell.
little bit of his eyes are that too, because it all happened pretty immediate around that, you know. I know some of his eyes are that degenerative thing, but I also think he's worse than the other dogs because I think he's taken, God, how many total direct skunk sprays to the face? I mean, every single attack had more than one spray too because he kept fighting with them. He's probably taken like 20 direct sprays to the face, you know, and never learns his lesson. But the smell is for sure from that, but his smell's not gone. It's just weird because like he still loves to go out and smell, but I know it's a little bit gone because like you used to be able to wake him up by smelling something, you know what I mean? And now you could like wave something if he's asleep. But the strange thing is he's gotten 10 times pickier about food, and he'll do this thing where he like puts something in his mouth and maybe it's messed up his taste buds. Like he'll put something in his mouth and he'll kind of just go and it'll even like he's doing it right now with a piece of steak. He's being picky about the steak, you know, and
That's bizarre.
he's trying to eat it, but he does this thing.
Ultimate skunk situation.
Sweet
how long
Moses,
were you
man.
dealing with like skunk smell when you moved into your? So you moved into your house and like
It's
there's
hard
a
to tell
skunk
because like the
problem.
skunk, like I had like consistent attacks across months, and so like you'd kind of be like, I think it smells gone, I think it's gone, I think it's new attack. So I couldn't even really tell when, and I shouldn't call him attacks because he's the one attacking, you know. But I just lived really close to a riverway, and the riverway had a bunch of skunks, and then my backyard had some cherry trees and some nut trees that I guess attract skunks really bad. And I ended up taking one of them out, but it still wasn't enough. Whatever one of the other trees was, attracted them. And I have an all animal murdering horror beast that lives with me, a 15-pound Jack Russell that
Well, and then
will.
you have two of them, right? So you
I
have the
have two of
female
them,
and
but
the
he's
boy.
he's for sure. She would always she got sprayed too, but I don't think she ever took a direct spray to the face. She was more the side swipe. They work together. If you ever watch it, it's totally like I mean, I've watched like there's some videos of dingoes attacking animals in Australia, and like the way the dogs like work together, and she for sure like side swipes him while he direct attacks, you know. And so she'd get a little bit on her, but I don't think she ever took a direct face spray. And I think it's one of the reasons she's doing so much better than him. But he would take direct face sprays, like he was just straight head on attack. And the thing is, like, I have pictures of it
Didn't you
too.
say
He
your two dogs
loved
killed,
it. Like it's
tons of
supposed to, like,
cats?
supposedly skunks will scare off a bear, but like he was like, ah, oh, it's spread on my face. You know, he was never happier in his life, you know, and you could tell he was irritated, but he was like, "Ugh, the fog of war." Ah, ha, 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 ha. You know, they're evil. They're evil. Like when they start. Like I honestly think I had my ex-wife and I had them together, And I honestly think she kind of fell out of love with them a bit when she saw them attack a cat. You know,
Well,
that
it's
was,
just like when you see the two dogs tug of warring over a stuffed animal, right? Like it's
yeah,
the same thing. Like
but it's
most people think that's like the
sociopathic.
cutest thing in the world to see a dog like tear apart a stuffed animal, but when that's happening
That
to an
squeaky
animal that's
sound,
alive,
that squeaky sound mimics the sound that a cat makes when it's getting tugged.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
My
and so
two
the cats are
dogs,
like,
so I got my two Jack Russells, and they made their first kill ever the other day. Like they're always trying to catch things, and they're never successful. But there's so many like these pot gusts, these ground squirrels, I guess.
well, because
Running
you're
all
out in the
over
open,
place.
they'd be
Yeah.
successful if those things were stuck in a little space. Because Jack Russells know how to corner. They know how to corner things. So, but you're out in the open, so they're not gonna have a place to corner them. But they would corner a
Right,
million
but
if you
there's
had a
so,
fence.
There's so many out right now that they got one. And
Uh-huh.
it was like Kate and I were sitting there watching this happen and the squeaking that was coming out of that thing. And I was like, Jesus Christ. It was like 30 seconds, super intense because like they were like trying to kill it, but they weren't being successful. And all of a sudden, Woody, my other Jack Russell, the one you would think is not like gonna get all violent, and he's the one that got up on the thing, grabbed it, and just fucking
Did the
shook
full
it.
head shake?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, man. Then it was done.
The
But
crocodile roll.
squeaking, it was just like a squeaky toy.
Yeah. And then you realize that when you're playing with the squeaky toy, they're thinking they're murdering you at that
Like
moment.
that's exactly what I thought when I was done after they killed the thing. I was like, oh God, no wonder they're getting so crazy over
So
squeaky toys.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. My ex-wife, because she gave me the dogs, and you might think it's all because she didn't really love them. She loved these dogs, and I'm telling you, the day she saw them murder was the day she went a little bit like, they're monsters. You know what I mean? Like. And I can kind of sort of see that too, just in the sense of like you suddenly realize that something you thought was all cute is a bit sociopathic, but uh, um,
Well, it's
yeah,
in
they've
their
killed
nature,
my
right?
dogs have
Like
killed
that's
like
what they're bred to do. Like they can't help it. Like, have you ever seen that video online where those people have all those Jack Russells and a couple other terriers, and they're just
the
turning the
ratting.
dirt over, getting all
Oh,
the
yeah.
rats out and stuff? And
There's
those
a whole
dogs are just
documentary on.
going nuts, man.
Yeah, and those ones actually get real efficient at killing fast, so it's not like a 30-second thing. Like they kill those rats in 3 seconds.
Oh yeah.
But
I couldn't stop watching the video though. I was like, this is kind of messed up, but at the same time, it's like really gratifying to watch these
yeah.
these things. Just
There's some
destroy.
documentary about there's a bunch of people using rat terriers in the subways somewhere in like New York or something like that, and they just release a bunch of rat terriers down there, and they just go on murder sprees and just take out hundreds of rats and
Holy
come
shit.
back, and they just go out and do it all the time. I think they're paid to do it, and those rat terriers are like a lot of people probably don't realize, and I think there's stuff to back this up that Jack Russells and rat terriers are probably the most aggressive, murderous dogs. It's just they do it to smaller creatures, and they do actually bite humans and stuff more than the average pit bull. It's just it doesn't get noticed because they're tiny. Like they can't really hurt a human very well, you know. But they're
Right.
more aggressive than a pit bull.
Was looking up online like the most aggressive dogs when we were deciding kind of should we get Jack Russells again, because I had one Jack Russell for 14 years and she was an amazing dog. And when she got on the list, the top two most aggressive dogs on the list, number one was a Dotson, a little wiener
Really?
dog, which you wouldn't
Oh yeah,
expect.
yeah. Mhm.
And then the second on the list was a Jack Russell Terrier. But they're such great little dogs, and you don't take them serious. But I mean, dude, what those wiener dogs, man, they'll crawl into holes and yank shit out. I mean, they're nutty as hell.
They were totally bred to murder.
Yeah.
More and people can say they did that with pit bulls, but pit bulls were bred to kind of like get into some bigger fights and that sort of thing. These guys were bred to murder en masse. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the other thing is like if you had a yard with like a fence, because I've always been like they've murdered a bunch of cats, but that's never once really been our fault. Those cats were in our yard. I've never a lot of people know me. They used to come around my house because Jack Russells are insane. They're always trying to get out, and like people would stay at my house and say, there's one rule: no Jack Russells out the front door, you know,
Right.
and some people would miss it, and I'd rage on them a little bit because I'd be like, that's my fucking one rule, you know what I mean? But and I'm very happy that to this day, no cat's been killed in my front yard, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
that
Right.
would kill me. But like the cats that come and get into my backyards, which were always well fenced, sorry, dude, you came to the wrong place. Like you should have stayed
Oof.
out of there. And they've killed probably about 20 cats, and I'm sure some of them might have been somebody's cat. I don't know who, but in Vegas we had a way bigger stray cat problem. I know a lot of them were
Right.
strays.
Right.
By the time we were leaving that neighborhood, we had a way smaller stray cat problem, and it was because of these guys. And but if you see them, like my two dogs in a four-walled fence area and a cat, it's masterful. Like you can think cats are too damn fast for a dog. No, they 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 were bred to corner foxes and raccoons, really,
Uh-huh.
and they corner them in with like just this natural talent that you couldn't believe. You know,
Right. Right.
like they get him to the corner quicker than you could imagine, and it's stealth. You know, and uh, if the cats got into my backyard, it was over. You know, and especially down in Vegas because I had cinder block, and so if like a cat fell into the yard, it's like you fell into the Coliseum. Like you're done.
Right.
You know,
Right. There's no way
and
out, man.
yep.
Jesus. But
So
the skunk situation though, that was bad because like I remember you were just like, oh my god, dude. Like I brought my dogs in and was washing them, and I was gagging, and the dogs
well,
were
one
gagging, and
great.
like,
There's a few great things. Skunks are nocturnal. You know, so it's always gonna happen in the middle of goddamn night. And, you know, the second thing that's great about it, and actually a couple of them lived because they got knocked down the window well. But then that's a whole other thing. And it turns out, like in Utah, there's no pest control for that anymore. Nobody's gonna come help you. You
right.
know, and you're like, well, what the hell did I do to the skunk? And so one time I was supposed to kill this little baby skunk, and I took a shovel, and I
That
can't
was
do it.
because I
I
told you
think you
you
were
had
trying to
to.
tell me how to
Yeah,
do
because
it. I
you
couldn't do
you
it.
told me it was injured, and I was like, dude, you got to just
He
put it out of
wasn't
its
injured.
misery. So, and then we got talking later, and you said that you were sitting there with the shovel, and he was looking up at you with those stupid eyes like off of Ratatouille when he's in the little
Well,
jar.
he was
He's like,
actually
"Don't
like
kill
he
me."
was no, he was ground pounding me. He was like kind of challenging me, and I guess they run out of spray. Like he would have been spraying me, but like they actually don't have very much.
Right,
Um, so he was trying to intimidate me with these ground pounds, and it's the same type of ground pounds your dogs do when they're like kind of playing with you.
right.
And he was real tiny. He's like, oh, I can't kill this dude. Like, and so it took forever. I actually got him into a cooler and took the cooler out into the wild and released him back into the wild. And that was a day of my life. You know what I mean? It took so long to get him in the cooler because I wasn't going to climb down there and push him in it.
Oh
So we were
hell
trying to
no.
trick him into the cooler.
Oh yeah,
And
and an animal that's like being threatened like that will bite you, man.
oh
That's
yeah,
all
and
there is to it.
skunk can be rabid too.
God, my neighbor's
But
dog, I went and let him out for them, and I guess he had some bad experience with, I don't know, his previous owner. He doesn't like men very much anyway, but God, I got him out of his kennel. He was terrified. He kept barking at me and shit, and I tried to grab him. I thought like maybe he was just all bark, no bite, to get him back in his goddamn kennel. Then he fucking sunk his teeth right into my hand, man, all the way to the bone. I was like, Jesus Christ, yeah, an animal that's threatened will bite. They'll do everything. You gotta
oh
be
yeah,
careful with that shit. You don't want to get bit by like some rabid fucking skunk or raccoon.
yeah.
But I wish I
Um,
could have had. I wish I could have had a video of you trying to get the damn thing in a cooler. But that.
Oh man, it took. I had a girlfriend at the time, and me and her spent all day long trying to get it to move into there. And um, the the other ones, one of them I actually got out before the murder was done, and like I couldn't go stop it. Like I just had to wait for him to kill him because it was too smelly and it was too, So I just kind of had to just sit there and watch him finish it. But uh, the very first time it happened. Oh my God! Speaking of smells, I think he just dropped one. Anyway, um, he's like 20 years old. He's here. He's basically on hospice. You know. Oh, give me a second. Hold on. What did you do? Oh. Oh my gosh. That's been my life lately. You see?
You just shitting all over your house?
Well, I have these white pads all over the ground because he doesn't usually. I actually would have noticed. 'Cause did you see him? He's sitting over by the door.
Yeah,
He's wanting me to. He's wanting me to let it. So he would have let me know, but he's so old now. He's just. He's just like. He'll drop, and he just took a. It was right on a pad that I had out, so it's a quick cleanup. But man, it stunk. But but speaking of stink, the first time the skunk attack happened, I was driving home, and it was pretty late. You know, it was like 11. They had a dog door, so they'd go outside and whatnot because they had a fence. And I'm driving home, and I'm telling you, well, you'll know where it is. But do you remember where the 7-Eleven was close to my old house?
Yeah.
It was probably like a mile away still. I started smelling like a skunk attack, you know, just like from right there. I'm like, oh shit, man, some skunks, whoa, skunk smells strong, you know. And I just get driving and getting closer to my house, and it's just getting stronger. And by the time I'm pulling up, like up the street, I know, you know, I mean, I'm just like,
You're like, gosh.
that's my house. I know that's my house. Oh no. And I drive to the driveway, and I was like, fuck, you know, it wasn't like, it wasn't any doubt. I mean, partially because the dogs were there, but like pulling into the driveway, I knew it was the night that a skunk attack happened. And I might have thought, well, this will be a funny story or whatever, but until it happened 7 or 8 more times. But anyway, I went in, and one of the things they love to do when they kill something is drag it in the house, you know.
Oh,
And
Jesus Christ.
yeah,
They actually dragged the fucking thing in the
they
house?
dragged that skunk in the house. They dragged two out of all the attacks. They dragged 2 of them in the house, and
How long do you think your house smelled like skunk for?
about a month and a half, and there was like a bit that like I thought it wasn't gonna ever go away, you know, and
I remember we were talking on Facebook while you were at work, and you're like, it smells like skunk everywhere I go. Like, I don't know if I'm ever
I
gonna be able to smell
there was
normal
some sort of,
smell, dude.
because I was washing them all night, and the very first time I didn't know the best thing to use, because like you're googling all this stuff and you heard all these old wives' tales about tomato juice or whatever. No, none of it works or help. And so I was washing them a ton of times with stuff that didn't work. Actually, the thing that works the best is dish soap, and like mix it with hydrogen peroxide or something. And
Is that because the spray that comes out of a skunk is like oil based? You gotta break down the oil.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just did not work at all, and all you did is make a soup of the same smell.
Oh,
And
God.
you know,
Skunk soup.
and I was washing all night. I mean, that started at 11. I was probably up till 2:30 washing, just rewashing. And of course, both dogs got sprayed up a little bit, and then my whole house stunk. And then after a bit, I didn't know what was smelling or not smelling. Like my smell was so out of whack. And the smell changes when you get close to it. From the distance, it's got that rotten eggy thing,
I
but
think
up
skunk smells great from a distance, man. Call me weird, but I actually
it's
I like the smell of
sort of
skunk from
see
a
it.
distance. But when you get closer,
It kind of
up on
reminds
it,
you of
like
the mud
fresh ran
pots.
over skunk, which I smell all the time when I'm commuting back and forth to work. When
There's
it
still
gets close, it's
something.
bad, man. It's
There's
not
still
good at all.
something different when you're right next to it. When you're
Oh
right
yeah,
next to it, it takes on like a gasoline form. Like you can totally see like why it's a weapon because like it's got a stingy, gasoline-y.
because it burns, right?
Yeah, it burns and it doesn't have like the eggy thing goes away. It just kind of becomes like straight gasoline, like and so you're cleaning it all night, and then by the time you're cleaning it, like everything you're cleaning with all smells like it too, like all the towels you have, all this, and you don't know what smells or what doesn't, and so like you keep washing them for a few days afterwards, and you wash the whole house, and then some of the stuff you're like, maybe I just got to remove this whole stuff from the house because I threw out like a bunch of towels each time because you're kind of just like I don't know. You start getting like I don't know what smell or not, and then it just becomes like your whole world just kind of has a twinge of it everywhere you go. You go to work and people still smell it on your hands, and I smell it on my hands. And then the worst thing in the world is like it's on my hands so bad, like I'll get little tastes of it, like when I'm
Oh
eating
man,
stuff and all that sort of thing. And there's no getting it off, like and
what a weird little fucking animal, man. Like to evolve, that's its
yeah,
defense mechanism is it can hold something so goddamn like potent. But then you got to look at your dogs. Like, what the fuck? Like, all other animals get the fuck away from skunks, but dogs, for some reason,
this
can
is.
override that
I
to,
heard somebody
like, get the
talking about
kill,
it.
you know?
Like supposedly dogs' sense of smell is so much stronger than ours that we should technically smell as bad as a skunk smells to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's like one of the weird things about dogs is like their sense of smell is so strong. People don't know why it's not just like overwhelming them. Like why do they not like have extreme disgust, sensitivity, and extreme
Right.
difficulty with it? And it seems to me that like their super sense makes it so that they can like break down smells so
They can
easy. Like they
smell
can smell
something
the
delicious
differences
in a pile
between
of horse
everything.
shit.
Yeah, it seems like it can make it so they can be zone smellers. Like they can pick and choose the smells out of the other smells. That's my guess. But
Did I ever tell
direct
you how I
directed
ran into
smellers.
that postman or the mailman? Because, like, growing up, we always watched those
Yeah, you
cartoons.
told me, but yeah, tell it.
Yeah, so like, and I don't know if this is true or not. I have to fact check it at some point. But my dog really would just bark at the mailman. Like we'd be out front, sitting outside, and like people would be walking by with their kids, strollers and stuff, and my dog would never bark at him. But the mailman came up, Jesus Christ, man, the dog started barking like crazy. So I put her away one day, and I asked the guy, I was like, I used to always just think this was like a joke, like something on Looney Tunes or whatever. But my dog does not like you and does not like any mailman that comes around. I'm like, do you know why? And he's like, yeah, I started bothering me a lot. So he like went to a veterinarian and asked him. He's like, why do all the dogs hate me? Because you think it's just you're coming into the yard, right? And that's bothering your stranger, and dogs are just like barking at you, voice of warning. But when you're sitting outside with your dog and still barking at the mailman and nobody else, you start wondering what the fuck's going on. So anyway, he was told by the veterinarian that the dog's sense of smell is so powerful that they identify each person by their smell. And
Mm-hmm.
so when the mailman walks up and he's got a bag full of mail that's been touched by who knows how many people, and all those different human smells are all on him, that the dog doesn't really know how to like identify what he is, because it's just like sensory overload for their olfactory.
Yeah, it seems like we might have brought this up before, but like there was some cartoon that I saw one time, and I saw this psychologist bring it up in a thing of this guy who took his cat by the woods and the cat was by the woods, and the cat freaked out and didn't want to go anywhere near the woods. He's like, oh, I wonder what the deal is with the cat being scared of the woods. Oh, that's no big deal. And then it like showed the thing of like the cat taking in the smells, and the creature it created from all the smells in its brain was this giant rat bird cat bird thing. Like it was like all the smells put together in one giant creature thing, you know. And so it was like, what is that, you know? And it was a good depiction of how they take in all the smells. But I do believe that of dogs. In fact, my dog, who's like an old senile crotchety disoriented goof, I think he did started getting way more disoriented when his smell went than when his vision, or he doesn't hear very well either.
Well,
But I
yeah,
think the
they
real disorienting
experience
thing
the
was to him was the
world.
smell.
Yeah, because we're very visual, and we experience the world mostly through. I think our eyesight's the strongest sense we have. I mean, obviously our sense of smell is powerful. It can bring back memories. Hearing is very, but we experience the world visually more than anything else. I think it's our strongest sense, and for dogs, it's smell. Smell
I
is
think he
their
became
eyes.
more likely to bite like a random person after his smell went, because he just doesn't know what this is and what's this coming towards my face. But
Right.
he never bit people at all. It doesn't matter. He bites people. He doesn't have any teeth now, but he
Look at him back there.
his name's Stu. You see him?
The old fuck. Look at
I
him.
call him Frankenstew because he's all pieced together and barely holding on to stuff. But he really is a crotchety old bastard. But at the same time, too, is like the whole thing about he is really kind of on hospice. He's got supposedly a tumor, but he's had it for like a year and hasn't shown any signs. The thing is all these problems aside, he's happy as a clam. And until he's like just showing that he's not happy, that's what I'm waiting for to put him down. But as long as he's happy, I can't like go put him down. And I always thought when he was young
Yes,
and
you
so
can. You can do
rambunctious.
it. You can
No,
do
I
it. If
won't
he's
do that.
pooping in your house, you can.
He's pooping in my house, but that I got all the pads down, but he doesn't poop. Well, first off, he all his whole life until just recently coming here, he had a dog door. He was never really trained without a dog door. But secondly, if anybody's home, he just did it now, but he was certainly giving me signs for a bit, and I was messing around with this and didn't pay attention to him. He can't hold
Tell you
long,
what,
but he
man,
would have
when I'm
he was
sitting to
telling me.
myself, I want to be put down, man. I don't want to live
Yeah.
through that.
But he was telling me, he was for sure telling me he needed to go, and I
Right.
was more upset. I was more thinking about getting this thing set up, and I ignored him. And to top that off, I woke up, I went running, I came back, and I hadn't taken him out yet. I mean, that one was my fault.
Gotcha.
But
Have
he's
you tried that other food yet? See if that helps at all.
he's solidified his poops up finally.
Oh, okay. Good.
So that was a quick cleanup. It stunk, and he actually went right on the pad too, that I have set out for him. But so he's not like really like incontinent yet. But I don't. I feel he's happy as a clam. He's back there chilling, all that stuff. I think it's months until something. I've already been told by the doctor since a while back to watch for when he has more worse days than good days.
Right.
The thing is right now is that he has straight good days. Like he's pretty much happy as a clam. But
Can you still take him hiking and stuff? Or is
no,
he
man, he
big enough
can't.
anymore?
He's also arthritic, and he likes to go outside and traipse around, but like he can't even like go on a walk. Like he won't keep up with it. He won't like it. But I'm telling you, like he's like a happy old curmudgeon sitting on the porch wanting to tell the kids to get off his lawn. Like when he was little and so active and psychotic, like I mean psychotically athletic and a murderer. But he really is like a guy who did all the murders that like he's like, I had my day, yeah, I did my shit, like I always thought that it'd be kind of like a horse, like he can't deal with not being who he used to be.
Right.
Not at all. It's been kind of like one of the interesting lessons on aging to me. Like he's been fine with aging,
Right.
He's like, I can't see anymore. Who gives a shit? I can't smell anymore. Who gives a shit? Like he's happy.
Well,
He's
you just-
really
you
happy.
You learn to adapt, right? I mean, I can't do all the shit I used to be able to do. I used to race BMX, and that was my life, man. Jumping, crashing. I used to skateboard all the time. You wouldn't catch me fucking getting on a skateboard now, man. Crashing
Yeah.
on cement, dude, it hurts. Fucking
Mhm.
hurts. I stopped riding skateboards, but you know, you evolve. Like now I find a lot of happiness in running, mountain biking. You know, I'll still snowboard and stuff. Playing music, that's relatively safe for the most part as far as injuries go.
Until all of our ears go.
Yeah,
But
well, I try to take care of that. I got them fancy earplugs that I wear
dude,
sometimes.
my uncles were in town this week, and I went to lunch with my dad and my uncles, and it was worthless because they're all deaf. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna happen to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it would. I mean, they'd be fine if we were in a quiet place, but it was too busy of a restaurant, and it was just we might as well not talk because everything's what this little what. But they all worked in mines when they were younger and stuff. But
Of course. Well, you gotta take care of your ears, man. I work with veterans, and I have to do these like pre-op assessments every day with them, and the ones that are hard of hearing, it's fucking annoying, man. And I hope I don't end up being one of those annoying, like,
But this is it. I
hard
brought it up
hearing
to you
people.
guys, and you didn't like hearing it, but I think it's true. But I think just from the music, man, we've already done some damage that we don't. Uh,
I to a degree, sure. I think you're probably right, but for the past like 5 years, I've really been like anytime I go
yeah,
to a
but
concert, I put these
I'm telling you,
earplugs
the
in.
shit that we didn't pay attention to at 22 mattered. You know
Yeah,
what
it
I
was
mean?
mostly just fucking guitar players, your lot, because you guys all got to think
No way,
your
dude.
guitar has to
Drummers,
be so fucking loud.
drummers, man.
Nah,
Have I been that guy ever?
sometimes.
No, I have not.
Yeah, you have
I've been.
to.
I have not. I've never put.
You gotta adjust your
I've been
camera a bit, buddy.
well,
Your
because
head's
I
out.
had it down. Look at
There you
Stu.
go.
But I've been louder than the other band. But I've never put my damn guitar amp above 3, man. You know, and that's too loud sometimes. But you
It's
played with a guy who had it on 11 all the time. You know what I mean? And we're saying 11 because he used my
yeah,
amp
yeah.
and he had it all the damn way up.
I
I've
would
never
wear I
had
would
that
wear
thing above a 3. But sometimes 3 is louder than the rest of the band, you know.
Well,
But
it's like any of those guitar amps are that way. I don't know what the fuck it's all about, but I honestly think the best thing to do
you've
is to
been louder
get a
than the rest
guitar.
before. The drummer's been louder than the rest before. I've been louder than the rest before, but I've never been here. Take this in your ears and die. You know, I've never
Nah,
done that.
you've been pretty good. I'll give you that. But that Vox AC30, man, it's like I almost wonder if you're better off with an AC15, so you get that tube breakup
I've been
without
thinking about going
burning
and just
off the
getting
walls,
another
you know?
one to match the other one because it's also been shady lately. I don't want to just say, well, this is garbage now, though. But I've been thinking of it instead of dealing with fixing the shit, just going and getting another AC15 that matches Brad's piano. You know?
They are beautiful, man. I
Yeah.
love the Voxes as far as guitar tone and stuff
Well,
goes.
I wouldn't mind a lighter one, that's for damn sure. Fuck, maybe I'll go get one today. You know, just saying lighter made me go, ooh.
I know.
Damn thing's 80 pounds and awkward. And
I wish I
there
could
was
get
a one
something
time,
like
the closest I ever got to maybe I should quit music was back in the day. Every place we ended up, there was a massive amount of stairs to deal with. And I was like, I'm so sick of going upstairs, downstairs, downstairs, upstairs with this damn box. You know, yeah, it was always the box. Yeah.
Well, they make some really light
The
bass
AC15s are
equipment now,
great.
but it's all solid state. They don't make any like tube stuff that's light. It's
But
always gonna be
AC15s
heavy.
are fine. They're not bad at all. But no matter what, they're going to be awkward.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's how I feel about all my bass gear, but it's the price you pay for the tone. I remember one time I did get suckered in. I was like, all these bass players all using those big amp,
Big
8
half
10
stacks.
cabs. Well, full
Mm.
stack,
Full
eight,
stack, yeah.
810s. They call it the refrigerator. So I got one, and that lasted like maybe 2 months. I was like, fuck
I remember that.
this. Like, you have to have a van just to get it to gigs, and then it's overkill. But when you're playing live and you got roadies and shit, then it probably doesn't matter as much. Or
Not matters much at
live, but when
all,
you're
man.
actually
At all, I'd be 100% about what sounds good. Who gives a shit if it's like we're paying somebody to move it, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, Oh, that would be the day.
It's so
That's
funny.
that's like the
when
worst
that's
part about being in a band is like when you play a show, and this is what most people don't understand. And you know when people are like, well, how much does it cost to get into the gig? It's like $5. Oh, it's $5, and it's like, listen, motherfucker. We have to take all our gear out of the practice space into our car, drive it to the gig, out of the car, set it to the side of the stage, put it on stage to play, take it off the stage, put it back in the car, take it back to the practice space, and you're bitching about paying $5? Fuck you.
Not to mention we just put in the past year 500 hours of practicing and rehearsing.
Right.
Together.
Or when
But
people aren't willing to pay for they're like, oh, can I just have a CD? It's like, no. How about you pay for it, man?
There's material there.
Yeah.
And
Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's all for you people out there that are a bunch of cheap bastards, man. You got to think about what goes into creating the art that you hold in your hand and you listen to, and throw the artist some money, man.
there was a
$50.
little bit of time frame right at the start of the internet where I kind of going along with other people, and it was a bit easier to get pirated stuff. That I got pirated stuff. I haven't bought or looked at or taken away or ripped anything pirated in maybe over 10 years now, and I think I've gotten to the stage where I feel totally bad about it. Like it's got to be on a site that's already given it away for free because there's advertising, or a Hulu or a Netflix or a station that's doing it. Like I haven't technically seen anything illegal in a long time, and there was a little stage, that Napster stage of the internet, where you almost couldn't accidentally see something that was a little bit pirated.
I'm a little bit different, man. I get pirated stuff once in a while, but I always end up buying the album. Like, it's, you know, if I end up listening to a Dr. Dog album a week before it's released, it's not because I'm not going to buy the album. I go buy the album after. So I don't feel bad about that because I am shooting them the dough.
I don't feel bad about music stuff.
Early.
Bands I like, they end up getting money from me somewhere.
Right.
But in other bands, I kind of feel like they're paying to get in my ears in certain ways. But
that's a problem.
It is a problem. I was actually, Davey and I were just talking about this yesterday. We might have talked about it a little bit before, but like that Portugal the Man song that I've noticed has been, well, this is a whole different tangent, but it's not in one commercial. It's not in 2 commercials. It's in 10 different commercials.
It's in all of commercials.
And I'm like, yeah, and I'm kind of like, wait a minute. There's no way 10 different commercial directors heard this song and said, this is the thing to sell my product. You know what I mean? It's 100% got to be coming from them. Portugal the Man has to be paying to put those in the commercials. There's no way it's the reverse.
Oh no, of course.
You
Absolutely.
know, if there was one commercial with one song from like one indie band, I could see, I could see. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, you might be like, dang, they're in a lot of commercials. They're probably making money. I'm like, I'm sorry. All those commercials, they're the ones paying. There's no way people are asking them to be in all these commercials.
Right.
I can see, like, if you, like, hear some random song from an indie band in a commercial that they got paid for it because, like, hey, we want your song for our commercial. But when you have this unified effort of it going into every trailer, every movie, all that sort of stuff, and it's like such a mess song, you know, I could maybe see it if it was like, oh damn, that song was a killer breakthrough.
Right.
You know, but there's no way.
What was that video that you sent me the other day? I can't remember what the guy's name was, but he broke down
Todd in the Shadows.
Not Todd in the Shadows, the other one, and he was like.
Somebody sent that to me and I forwarded it to you. I didn't pay attention to the name very well either.
Like 2 guys who were responsible for writing all the pop stuff, but he talked about in the video how from the 60s how music has slowly gotten worse and worse.
It was a good video.
Mainstream.
I wish I remembered the name of it.
He broke it down and he was just like, you know, he showed how older music from the 60s, 70s, how they had like really good lyrics and how it's just been stripped down to repeating the same thing over and over. And what ended up happening is that record labels used to take risks. It's like they didn't know what was going to happen. It's like, this is a
Oh, that's
different
that
sound,
Frank
this
Zappa
is-
video. Frank
Well, yeah,
Zappa was
yeah.
talking about that.
Right, and you're talking about a bunch of old guys. "Oh, I don't know what it is.
He said
I don't
he
know.
said
Let's
the
just put it out
old
there, see what happens."
the old business guys were better than the guys who thought they knew
Right,
because they were more willing to take risks.
but he also talked about, like, nowadays, in order to take a band and get them to be, like, profitable and get their music out there, really takes about half $500,000 or something.
It takes a concerted effort of money from the band side. It's not the places paying for and asking for the band. It takes
Right.
capital from the band.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, record labels, and from that video, the main point and take-home message is that record labels don't want to take risks anymore. So they created what you like. They blasted into people's ears over and over and over and over and over again. So all these pop songs that are top charting pop songs, they're written by the same dudes. A lot of them are. There was that, what's the Mark? What the fuck
Yeah, I
was
forgot
his
their
name?
names.
Or Max something. I have to look that up. I can't remember the two dudes' names. One's in the UK, one's in America, and you'd be surprised how many of these pop artists, their music is written by these two guys. So the record
Not just
companies
pop artists, like number
created-
one hits,
yeah,
like the top
but
40
they
hits.
created the sound, they forced it on you, told you what you should like, and now they can just release shit in that vein and know that it's just going to hit and skyrocket, and there's just fucking no risk anymore.
But it wasn't very different in the 80s. However, I think the songs are more factoryized today. But in the 80s, it was still just the same as like pushing something on you. I don't think the songs were so concocted to be a hit.
Right.
But there was definitely, and I've listened to Adam Carolla talk about this, who worked at K-Rock, which was kind of one of the nation's trend-setting rock stations. And he worked at it back in those days, and he said, Hall & Oates or whoever, the reason you know all the goddamn Hall & Oates songs is because their manager or label or whoever came to the station and said, put this on rotation, put it on every 25 minutes, here's some cocaine, you know. and they would do it, and if it was a good song or not, they were going to make you know it, so you didn't even know the difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think there's not only that. Well, there's not radio stations with such a monopoly on what we're listening to or not anymore, or trend setting. But there is commercials, and I think commercials are one of the main ways bands get out there now. And I do not think a lot. I think you might think, because it used to be in the '60s, you'd chew out a band if they went commercial. But nowadays, going commercial isn't getting
It's a
paid.
legit thing, man.
It isn't getting paid. It's you're paying. You know, you're paying to. That's where people are going to hear you. They're not going to hear anywhere else. I promise. Like maybe Imagine Dragons broke into a place where people are actually paying them for it. But I guarantee you,
they're making dough, man. Like Todd in the Shadows, he broke that down in his video. He's like, these guys write music for commercials.
No, but that very same thing was the one that talked about Portugal the Man. And the difference between the two of them is, I think in the Imagine Dragons were getting paid, and I think Portugal the Man was paying. The reason is because Portugal the Man just kind of suddenly came out of nowhere with this one song, and that one song suddenly appeared in 20 different videos. Whereas Imagine Dragons kind of already had a popularity going, and then a lot of their different songs were paid to be in commercials, you know. So I kind of think it was people were asking to use their songs. I think Portugal the Man was asking to have their songs used. It had to be, because the song's so bland. It's such a bland song, and I'm
Which
telling
song are
you,
referring to?
hey, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I'm a kicker. This is 1966 now. Ba, 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 ba. Do you know the song?
Yep.
So I started noticing this before the Todd in the Shadows video, and when I saw the Todd in the Shadows video, I was like, yes, somebody saw what I saw, you know, and he even kind of explained it better. But I was like, first I saw it in this commercial with Aaron Paul on a treadmill dancing his ass off to a song with Life Water or something like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'm sitting there watching it and listening to it. I'm like, And I don't know why, but like that commercial came on again and again and again and again. And it's weird because we're already in a world where I minimize commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So to see the same commercial a whole lot, and it's probably because you see Hulu or something where like it's not just there's some commercials, but it's not like old commercials used to be. It's like one show you get the same commercial 5 times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching that and being like, why is he dancing so hard to the song? It's like like, I just remember just like right from the beginning it being like thinking right off the bat that the song was bland, you know what I mean? But anyway, then I see the song pop up in like 3 or 4 different movie trailers, and that one really kind of blew me away because I was like, wait a minute, like movies are like been in the works for 2-3 years, you know. There's no movie that hasn't been in the works for 2-3 years coming out. Mm-hmm. These directors or whoever have this vision for a movie of what the song is. There's no way these 7 different directors went, oh, I just heard this Portugal the Man song that came out. That's the perfect thing. The perfect thing. This vision of a movie I've had going for all these years, that is the perfect thing to express what I'm going for here. Luckily they dropped that right now, right when I'm releasing my movie, to like express perfectly what my movie is. And unfortunately these 7 other movies liked it too, but it really does express my unique vision. You know, it's like, you're like, no, like what the hell is this? And then it comes out and like, I'm telling you, it's like 10 different commercials for 10 different products. And then I stop and go like, there's no way they're getting asked to be in all those. They're asking and paying to be in all those. Right. You know?
Well, that's the avenue that the record labels have. I mean,
yeah,
that's the big problem with way things have gone is it's like the record labels own all the outlets to like pushing music into people's ears, right? Like that's almost impossible. I mean, you can create your own stuff on YouTube and the internet, but you don't have the power like the record companies do to put your stuff out to the world on that level that they do. And that one video talked about repetition, right? So repetition is what they do. They just pump stuff into your ears over and over and over again, and that repetition over years, people end up like, that's familiar. Humans like familiarity. So if you drop a song, sounds familiar, I like this, you know. But if something different comes along, that's harder because it takes some time and you have to like give it a chance. But with Spotify and all the freaking digital outlets for music, people have more ADD than they have ever had, so they're less likely to give a new thing a chance. They hear something, if it doesn't sound familiar, I'll skip to this, skip. And that's where the record labels have really monopolized on everything, is they've created this sound, and this is familiar. And so now when they drop stuff, more pop stuff, it just automatically connects with people because it could be the same goddamn fucking song, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, last night my daughter was showing me a song. I was like, dude, that's the exact same chord progression. Sounds almost exactly the same as the chorus on that Thunder and Lightning song from fucking Imagine Dragons, right? But it was some other artist singing over the top of it. But it was the same song.
Even the Lightning and the Thunder thing is kind of accused of being a ripoff of some Lorde stuff. The thing about all of it though is that like it's such a unique place to get into common people's ears nowadays. It's not where it used to be. It's not the radio stations. It's not, you know, it is in commercials or TV shows or movies or something. And sometimes I've wondered before, right, on this podcast, like, how do I know this song? How the hell how in this world of me being able to focus and control what I hear, do I know this song and know these? Like, I should be able to filter out knowing who these are and why they are, but no, they still get to me. And obviously they're going to get to some teen kid or whatever even easier. But the thing, and I even know, like, suddenly, like, now if you say Portugal the Man, people are gonna know who Portugal the Man is, and it's because of that commercial push. But it's obviously, it's kind of the same thing with movies now. I mean, you don't really get, you kind of get indie movies that kind of get a word of mouth that's like kind of real grassroots word of mouth, or you have high production movies with high advertising budgets, and they say, we're going to push this for one, we're going to spend $100 million on advertising in hopes to get back at least $101 million, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think at some point bands like Imagine Dragons and Portugal the Man are in that game of like a Marvel movie, like, we're gonna cost 200 million, but we're hoping to get 250 million back,
Right.
you know. And
Yeah, it's a weird time we live in, man. But it's unfortunate how sterile, I guess that's a good word for it, sterile the mainstream music's gotten, you know? And
but this is
and
the deal, man, is
almost
that if
people
you
are
do
completely
something,
oblivious to it. They just think this music's like the best music ever, and it's like these songs can't even hold a goddamn candle against 90% of what was being put out in the 60s and even the 70s, you know?
but if something hits huge, just, I mean, this has been forever, but if something hits huge, knockoffs of it will come out faster than it came out. You know what I mean? There's this
Right.
thing called the Seinfeld effect that nowadays, like, kids don't understand, like, what a game changer Seinfeld the show was. And because it's kind of was the first show to be like, we don't need any overarching stupid theme, we can just be, you know,
Right.
a show about nothing. And that was such a game changer. Now there's a million shows like that, and like a kid coming into the world right now is not going to be able to place Seinfeld in there as anything revolutionary, you know what I mean? But that process is 20, 30 years we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now that same process can happen in 6 months. Somebody can drop something really fresh that hits huge, and all the thousands of knockoffs will be out there in 6 months. You know what I mean? Like the copycats are faster. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
it gets, even if you are something original or new, you're going to get lost in
The
noise
knockoffs are
faster.
gonna saturate the.
You're gonna get lost
saturate
in
the
noise
shit out of
faster
it.
than yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think about, man.
If you
But I
if you
think it
hit
happens
something new
faster
and
because of the
successful,
internet, though, right? I
oh
mean,
yeah,
isn't that-
yeah, for sure. If you do something truly new and truly successful, you will be an old meme in 4 months. And people have been, you know, one of the main areas where that's happening, and it really actually kind of irritates me, is this whole mumblecore rap. Have you like paid attention to that shit?
What the fuck is that?
Rap nowadays is almost all, they call it like mumble style, and they make all these sounds like rah, rah, oh, and then if you listen, it's like a mopey, sad rap like this.
You gonna rap?
I can't impersonate right now. If you watch the Saturday Night Live, one of the funniest skits ever, because I was bitching about this mumble rap being like, how did this all become a thing? And then Donald Glover came out kind of zinging on it. Although then he released This Is America, which is the same style of mumblecore sad rap, which is, they don't even say very much. They kind of just repeat the same words. And did you listen to This Is America? That hit huge, is like, because not many music videos hit so huge, and that hit super huge.
So they mumble instead of writing lyrics?
No, it's lyrics. They just call it mumble. It's depressive. It goes down, and it's it all just. You'd probably recognize it if I showed it to you in 2 seconds. But the thing is like, immediately there's not just one guy who does it. All do it. You know, immediately, and you can't even say or tell who did it first. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way to say you guys are, because it's such a specific style. It's so specific, and there's no one to point to say you started this. It's so weird. You know what I mean? Because just a whole entire rap scene movement change happens, and you'd almost have to be like some sort of like detailed anthropologist just to figure out the moment of the first guy who kind of did that, you know. And it's that's just how things are now, because I would say that style is one of the really kind of original styles in the past few years. It's original, but everybody's doing it, and who did it first?
Right.
I'm sure some super pedant on the internet could tell you, but no common person. Like back in the day, you can say who did the gangsta rap first, and a lot of people can say.
Do you think it's a saturation thing? Because,
yeah, it's saturation.
You know, back in the day, you had to have the dough to go into a recording studio to record, and then it got released to the world. So it was way easier to be like, oh, or maybe some of those guys got credit, but maybe they really didn't come up with the sound either, because maybe the original people who came up with the sound couldn't afford to go get it recorded, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, you might hear some people and some movement going, but you might be the first person to record that style of music and get the credit for it. But nowadays, people have the ability to record things in their homes. So, like, the second something hits, I mean, people are blasting stuff out within a month or two.
They actually have a term for them, and it's largely in the rapper community. They call them iCloud rappers. And that's actually how that dude, Post Malone, got huge. Just kind of rapping himself. Although anytime I listen to him, I mean, I'm not zinging him. I just don't understand like what's so outstanding, you know. But so this is the style a little bit here. Although this is a couple years old, but now everybody does it. They all do these sounds like and they all do it. And then Justin Timberlake drops an album doing that all the way through it. And you're like, sure, Justin Timberlake. The rapping's gonna start in a second. Hold on, I know that you can get like if you let it go for 20 seconds, you gotta be. Start rapping. Come on, so you do panda. But I always make fun of the song, Panda. I got broads in Atlanta. She took the lean in the family. Credit cards and the scammers. Hitting the licks in the van. Legacies, family. Wait and see, look like a panda. So the mumblecore is like, you can listen to that 50 times in a row. You're not going to figure out what he's really saying.
You got to have another dude in the group that just goes.
There's a dude doing that. You got to watch the Donald Glover video of that, because Kenan Thompson plays that guy, and he's just kind of like, yeah, what? Yeah, because there's always kind of this Little John character in it. But Kenan Thompson plays that guy, and the thing is, like, since they're always so sad sounding, they start rapping about therapy. We've got to go to the therapy, you know, and they're just saying that. And so then the three of them go sit in therapy, and they're just sitting there, and they all have the long dreads in the faces, and he just kind of sits there through therapy going, what? Yeah, what? And then they finally go, how do you feel? And he goes, I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes I'm underappreciated, you know, and just because it's all mopey. It's like it's not cool to be anything but mopey now, and that's always kind of happened in rap. Like rap will always kind of be like, oh, you tried too hard, you got to try less hard. Oh, you were too excited, you got to be less excited. And then it's like it's devolved down into the straight mope rap. You know what I mean? Like
emo rap.
Yeah, it totally is, and that's totally the style. But like you can't understand them.
Yelling in the background, the whole like.
Yeah, and now it's all the
TV show with a fucking clap track. Like I can't do it, man. It drives me nutty. It's distracting to me. And you'll be damned trying to figure out what the words are. You know what I mean? And but then it always kind of has that down thing, like no. Like it really is like the precedent. It's kind of lazy, man. Because like if you listen to Deltron,
but that's the point of it. They're trying to sound lazy.
Deltron,
they try to
every fucking lyric coming out of his mouth, man, and it's just impressive as hell how he strings these words together, right? Like it's lazy.
That's the point of it, though, is they're trying to show that they're like too cool to care. Does that make sense?
That's dumb. It's laziness, man.
I'm telling you, it's running that scene now,
and like all these poppy songs, like that's the one thing I hate the most about that fucking Thunder song, man. Every line ends
Thunder. Thunder.
And then it's like, well, what should we do for the chorus? Let's bring in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
What's funny is like I didn't even notice that until it's pointed out. No, I actually didn't. I actually didn't notice it. Like it was like a weird illusion to me. Like I didn't even hear that chipmunky thing, and like, oh, you hear that chipmunky stuff? I'm like, holy shit, there is a big weird chipmunky voice there. Like why wasn't I even noticing that? You know, because it kind of almost seemed like this shitty music.
Like when they played live, who's singing that part?
Oh, dude, it's just like all those bands that we complain. Oh, you're making a joke.
I would love it if they're pulling all that shit off live. Fucking all the props to them, man.
Yeah.
If they have somebody that can actually come out and sing that high and weird, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Game on.
For sure. This is a different tangent too, but I was listening to a Muse song yesterday and I was like, dang it, this is a good song. I like the song. And then like I noticed like there was all this piano in it. And I'm like, who plays the piano? You know what I mean? Right. I got caught up in that to even start thinking about, because the song was good. There's something else to say about that being too cool. Like there's this whole thing about being too cool and being like a meme. Like the same way the internet memes out, people are starting to like meme out music. Like you just kind of want to do these memey hooks that get remembered as a meme, you know,
well, I think it's a different mentality. I look at groups like that. They're just trying to ride the wave right now, and they're making a ton of money. And if they're smart, they can take a ton of money and have a 1-2 year run and be obsolete at that point, because these things aren't going to stand the test of time, right?
No,
they're not like Zeppelin. It's not like the Doors. It's not like Hendrix. You know, these guys are going to be there forever because it was.
Let's say rap,
music.
man. It's not like it's not like Snoop or Dre or the RZA. You know what I mean? It's not gonna. Nobody's in 20 years. I mean, maybe, I don't know what kids are, but like, you know how like gin and juice can drop right now and it will stop everybody in a bar to just stop and be like, oh, I just can't see these songs ever being that. You know what I mean?
I think the difference is like, you can be in it for money, or you can be in it for, I am an artist and I want my shit to stand the test of time. You look at like Willie Nelson, you look at Wilco, you look at these guys, it's been a slow burn for them over the years, but their catalog, it's like there's nothing commercial about these guys who've been around that long.
So
like they're in it for the music. Like even if they weren't making money, because there was a long time before a lot of these guys made real dough, they had to do it. And it's more about the legacy of their music living on than can I get my quick pay right now, you know. And just
what's so disgusting about it, and I actually don't dislike Justin Timberlake, especially like as an actor. You know, I think he's funny as hell on Saturday Night Live. But his most recent album, man, it got panned. It even got panned by his normal fans and all that stuff. And it's because he dropped the whole album just like that. He tried to jump on the wave of his whole album is that it's got all the fake background guys doing the, you know, like, oh, is that your style, Justin? Has that been your thing? You know what I mean? And then he does the kind of depressive rap and all that stuff, and you're like why? Like, why did you follow the trend? But one of the things to reverse that, the biggest thing in music to hit maybe this year so far is Donald Glover's "This Is America." And I watch it and I go, this is derivative. You know, I like Donald Glover too as an actor. Like I like Community and on Saturday Night Live he's funny as hell, but like he's got a lot of other stuff too where he's great. And I'm not even saying like he's bad musician or music. I haven't listened to enough of it, but the song that hit so huge is just like, oh, I'm gonna do this big commentary on how America's obsessed with celebrity culture and not worried about the murderous things that go on behind the scenes. Like, that's the first time that's ever come up in art, yeah. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, he went there. And then all he did is kind of repeat the same exact stupid mumblecore sound. It's the same thing. Man. And it's like, are you telling, so Glover, that's been your style? That's your style? Donald Glover? That's your style, huh? That's you? Okay. You know, that's been you this whole time. Wow. Yeah, you're that. And and um and then just drop this music video that's just super derivative, like college art. Like everybody's obsessed with celebrity, but it's really rotten to its core. I didn't see like a painting of a decrepit Ronald McDonald 20 years ago. Nobody's ever done a painting like that. Oh my God! There's a marionette, and there's a big businessman holding the marionette. That's a decrepit evil marionette. And whoa, I'm deep. I'm so deep. I'm artsy and deep. You know, it's like, to me, it's like the most derivative shit on planet Earth. You know, nothing has been more derivative than art saying it's actually all hiding real deep issues of America. There's a secret underbelly to the art, and I'm exposing it to you. I'm exposing it. Now you see the truth. Fuck you. You know what I mean? You're boring. You know, that's, sorry. I like Donald Glover. I'll go back to that. But like, oh man, nothing gets older to me than like, I'm telling you the deeper truth
I
of
gotta throw
the.
out a few songs I've been working on apparently for our next album.
Why?
Because I had a couple of in there.
But that's just your style, man. You just had that, like you were sitting there one day and be like, something that comes out of me, something deep in me just makes me want to go. I noticed Justin Timberlake doing it, but I'm not copying him at all.
Well, I didn't hear it from there. I was listening, which is weird. I do this sometimes, where I was listening to a Christmas album. That's where I drew my inspiration from.
So it's totally like from that world at all. You didn't take it from everybody else.
So anyway,
that'd be good. I'd actually be down for that. But
yeah, yep.
It's just so painful, man. It's just so painful to like see.
It's what it is, man. There's
Watch it.
It's fun to bitch about, though. It's fun to.
There's something. Yeah, I can't look away. I can't look away from the misstep of Justin Timberlake trying to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I have to like look at him and be like, ooh, like I gotta watch you and cringe at you suddenly just falling in line with what every other person's doing out there. No, he's not trolling. He's not that.
I'm gonna make some dough. I'm gonna make some money.
It'd be really gross if like Eminem did it, and Eminem didn't. He dropped the recent album, and he didn't. He still was old Eminem. But the thing is like, both him and Tim. It's weird because like the mighty fall, man, and those, they're both getting shit on real hard by the communities that used to love them.
Yeah, but they're different breeds, though. I mean, Eminem came up a different way entirely. Didn't Justin Timberlake come up through the Disney Channel? And
yeah, but I'm just saying both of them are having major musical problems with their fan bases. Both of them are getting panned and shit on real hard, and I think both of them. Just people are starting to say their stuff. Well, Eminem's getting called kind of like irrelevant and old, and Timberlake is getting shit on for being kind of a copier, and they'll even call him a cultural appropriator, which I'm not crazy about that term, but in Timberlake's case, it might be true-ish in the music. You know what I mean? Like, he's not being authentic in his music. He's borrowing from other people.
Well, you're kind of seeing that in a lot of things too. You're seeing it in film a bunch. You're trying to like pander to the audience, right? You don't want to offend anybody right now. You don't want to make anybody angry. Instead of just being true to whatever you want to do, you're like trying to cater it to the people that are going to be judging it, right? So if I make it safe, then it's safe.
That's
But I see
where
that in a lot of films too lately, where I'm just like, what the? This isn't going to stand the test of time because the way that our society is right now in our culture, and everybody being all sensitive and butthurt over every little thing and offended, it's not going to be like that forever. And so if
No.
all your movies are catering to that, they're not going to hold up through the test of time. You should just not give a shit and
I
create what you want to create without, some people aren't going to like it. Some
I
people are going to love it.
100% agree, and I think people. I mean, it's always been a problem of getting caught up in the current zeitgeist and then risking not being like a more eternal piece of art because you're just kind of copying what's going on around. But there is something different feeling about the current era of it because it does all kind of seem propagandistic. But I don't mean that in the sense of like there's somebody trying to change our minds on stuff like conspiratorial. I kind of just mean it more of it's just fake deepness, you know what I mean? Like there was something kind of less fake about true bubblegum, you know what I mean?
Right.
This is like bubblegum politics, and there's like it's something almost more gross than that than like the cheesiest of country songs nowhere near as gross as cheesy politics, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but it's not going to stay like that. Nothing ever stays the same forever. So I think the take-home message from all that is like just really create something that you can truly be proud of that's authentic. Don't cater or pander to the current climate because that's not how things are going to be forever. Like
yeah,
there's stories that are just good stories, right? Like that was my biggest problem with the Star Wars shit and we were talking about. It's like the original Star Wars movie was a fucking story. And
Yeah.
it was something new. It was different and they had a budget and they had a bunch of people and they really had to focus on their character build and just writing and creating this world. And now the new ones, they're catering to all like Star Wars is a fucking space show. It's
opera.
not happening
It's an
on
opera.
our fucking planet
It's a
Earth,
space,
right?
yeah.
So you're sitting here writing all the new Star Wars shit that's been coming out to cater to all the different. You don't want to offend anybody.
2018 American politics. That's really
that's not
true.
gonna hold up over
That's
time
true of like
the old one did.
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and a different. But the thing that I think I sent you the comic strip this week because somebody made this comic and this lady was asking this other girl who was writing a comic saying, how's your comic coming? And she's like, wow, it's really great. I've got some great characters, a bunch of people of color and a bunch of homosexuals and all that stuff. It's going to be real edgy. And she goes, oh, well, that's cool. What are their personalities like? And then the girl goes, their personalities? You know, like,
What?
you know?
Oh,
And-
you want to get to the individual level? I haven't thought that far yet.
That really hit it so home because, like,
God.
I mean, I think the first new Star Wars, number 7, people were fine with because it was kind of like you're resetting it and you're setting up some stuff and it's cool. And it didn't matter that it was a girl and a black dude and whatever because you're just setting up a story.
Right.
And then they steer south with that and just go into their politics and then don't even focus on the characters at all. The only thing that they are is a girl and a black guy. You know, there's nothing about them going through
Right.
a big, long struggle.
Right.
Like, that's what the people don't understand. It can be a girl. It can be a black guy. Now, get him a personality and put him through a struggle.
Look at the
you
original
know?
Star Wars. There were aliens. There was Lando Calrissian was black. I mean, Princess Leia supposedly had the Force. She was female. Like, they had diversity already. But now, I think in our current climate, people are so concerned about having the diversity that they forget about
they forget the individual
They
and
forget about the personality that's
the narrative and the story and the whole thing. And even on top of that, I was just talking last night. Some people are like, you know, Black Panther came out and they're like, we finally got a black superhero movie. And I go, what was Blade? You know, like we finally got females in superhero movies. What was Kill Bill? You know, what was Alien? What was, you know, what are you talking about? You know,
Yeah,
it's
man.
been around for 30 years and 40
Oh,
years.
dude, that's why Alien hits so fucking hard, man. You had this
Yeah.
woman that was just totally badass. I mean, and that was how many years ago? Fuck.
30, 40,
Man,
30 or
yeah.
40.
And that movie's still great, dude. The original
Yeah,
Alien
because
movie
she
still gives me
she
the
was
heebie-jeebies.
awesome and she went through a struggle. This is one of the problems that they have with the whole feminist movement is like the women can't struggle, they can't have a tough time. They can't. Well, how do you have a movie if you don't have them have a tough time? You know what I mean? Or
Right.
learn something, or have a character flaw that they got to get over. You can't
Yeah.
just be perfect from the beginning all the way through to the end. And
Dude,
I'm
speaking of
fine.
which, what was the best superhero movie? In my opinion, I liked Unbreakable, man. That was a goddamn
It's pretty good.
struggle.
You know, I'm a Watchmen geek, but
Oh, The Watchmen's awesome too.
and a lot of people don't like Zack Snyder, but I think he did a really, really honest
Rendition
portrayal
of
of the
comic novel.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but those are all like struggles.
dude,
like
they're
you're
about to
talking
drop a
about.
bunch of new Watchmen shit. You know that HBO is gonna drop a continuation of the Watchmen
Are you
series.
serious?
Yeah, who knows if it's gonna
Damn.
be good or not? Because what made the Watchmen was Alan Moore, the writer. But yeah, they're trying to drop, and there's another place that's dropping more Watchmen stuff. There's a lot more supposed Watchmen stuff coming out, but I at least like that they tried to so far deal with real philosophical issues in, you know,
Hmm. Have you
not
watched
saying others
Legion at all?
haven't. No, you told me about it.
Oh man, it's
I haven't
pretty
watched
cool.
much of anything but Arrested Development lately, but um, uh, I need to get caught back up on some stuff. God of War, that game, uh, you should play it because it's sweet. Not only not game wise, it's sweet. It's like you should see the movie of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's and that's how video games are getting nowadays. But like that one, like with the Norse mythology of it, it's bad ass what happens in the whole story, and
Where
there's
am
a
I
big
supposed to
spoiler.
fit that in?
You can't, but that's one of the bummers of that stuff is that there's these video game stories, and they're actually getting popular. You hear about kids watching video games now, and you're kind of, what's that about? Well, it's because the video games have gotten so good, it's like a movie, and sometimes you don't want to play it, and so a bunch of kids will watch the movie of it by watching somebody else play it. And
Huh.
it's Twitch and YouTube and stuff. There's a lot of kids making a lot of money playing games to be viewed online, and South Park made fun of it years ago, but it's continued on strong, and they do sometimes watch guys just run around shooting people in games because you want to watch somebody who's an expert of it or whatever. But
Right.
a lot of adults are like, I don't get this. Kids watching other kids play games. It doesn't make sense. And I'm like, it makes total sense. Those games are so unreally beautiful and detailed and have extremely good stories to them. And maybe you don't want to be the one who plays it, you know.
Right.
But they've also come out with versions like that God of War game has a version like it says at the beginning, like instead of like difficult, easy, whatever it says, just give me an experience, or I want a challenge, and you can choose just give me experience, and you can kind of almost just play through it like a more like watching a movie, so it's going to be an easier game for you, so you can just kind of see the story. But one of the reasons I'm talking about it is the story of that is as good as any movie I've seen recently, and I know anybody I know would love that story, just like you told me to watch Legion. I wish I
Hmm.
could say you should watch that God of War, you know.
But it's just a video game.
Well, not just a video game, it's a damn movie. But that's what's crazy about it is that they've worked in the stuff where it's seamless. The conversation the dad and the kid are having, not one word's repeated. Like if you think of old video games, like somebody does stuff like they have a conversation through the whole game that you play that's perfectly natural and never repeats and never like you know, and then it's one extended shot,
Hmm.
so like it never cutscenes, so you suddenly move into movie mode and it just looks the same as when you were
Hmm.
just playing, and
Dude, can you imagine the amount of programming to create
it's
something like
unreal.
that?
And the reason why a lot of people are talking about it, because I think it really is kind of a generational game, because a lot of games are gonna go like that now too, and games are so perfectly integrated with stories now. It's mind breaking, you know. And I'm not a big gamer. Like I like God of War, you know.
Right.
I can't do shooting games and all that stuff, and but and I've heard that some other games too, and I've even kind of watched, but I can't sit and watch a whole game, but I've like read the whole stories of other games, and those stories get as detailed as any Breaking Bad or anything like that, man. And but the story that happens through God of War, like I know you would love it, like you love Legion, you know. Um, um,
Well, it's cool when because I think a lot of movies where I get kind of frustrated with is they have really great CGI, but the dialogue and the actual plot and storyline is dumb as shit.
that's what I'm saying is
So
the
I
storylines,
appreciate
the way
stuff
these
that's
two
got some thought
conversate,
into it, right?
the way
And
the
so,
dad
but
and
the
the
thing
kid
is we're always
conversate
making
is
fun of.
mind breaking.
I believe
Like,
you, but we're always
yeah.
making fun of gamers, you know. But maybe they're the ones that are actually like,
Well, there's a reason
because
like
it's like,
why a lot of them are really kind of super smart nerdy dudes. I mean,
right,
and you
right.
can't throw them under the bus as losers
But
anymore.
they
But
don't just play dumb shoot 'em up games. Like a lot of them
oh,
are playing
dude, but
very
then on top of that
sophisticated,
too
highly
is
intellectual games, right?
they start getting so creative within the games too. Like people create from games. They start. That's one of the huge things with Minecraft is people were kind of able to build like with Legos inside of a video game, and then the stuff people created with that started getting unreal. But then there's other stuff like I remember Chris Foster. He was always a creative, funny dude, and one of the funniest things I ever saw in my life was that he put on an old Sergio Ennue soundtrack. You know the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly music,
Mm-hmm.
and was playing Red Dead Redemption for me, which was like a cowboy western game.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and invented this whole narrative set to the track of the Sergio Ennue music while he went around in the game doing this stuff that wasn't really kind of part of the game. He just went and made the story up to the
Mm-hmm.
music that he had playing in the background, and I was like, I can't believe like the thing that I just watched put together, you know. But that's half what the internet is too, is people mash stuff. People mash stuff that wasn't ever supposed to be mashed, and they can get so damn creative with the stuff. And but but yeah, that God of War game. I mean, the thing is like I you probably won't ever play it or watch it, and I'd want to say like a spoiler of it, but at the same time, the spoiler would be such a bummer if you ever did play through it and watch it to have it spoiled. But I know like the one spoiler would suddenly like cause intrigue in anybody, you know.
Right.
But it's just really unreal the development of a father and son talking together, and fighting together.
Hmm.
You
Crazy.
know, yeah. Um, but yeah, there's people doing freaking amazing stuff out there too. But at the same time
What's
too,
that
man, the way
game?
they do
What's
music
that
in games
game
now
that
too
was
is
like?
you can probably take music to the gaming industry too, to start getting your music out there. Games use musicians, you know.
There was one game my buddy played back in the day. It was supposed to be really scary and demonic, you know. Like, and he said like the
There's a
game
lot
would
of them.
fuck with you. Like it would shut your computer off, shut your TV
Yeah,
off.
there's several of
Or
them like that.
do all this weird shit. So you're thinking like you're all scared playing this game. It's creepy, and all of a sudden like real
Yeah.
supernatural shit
Yeah.
starts happening to all
There's
this.
several of them that
Like
get
it's all
creative
in
like
the
that.
program. Yeah.
There's this
I was
other
like,
game.
what?
There's this other game where like a girl in the game falls in love with you, not with your character. She
What?
falls in love with you and figures out that it's you controlling your character, and then like it starts fucking with you, like playing with saying that I actually know it's you back there and saying your name and all this sorts of stuff like that. And then she gets like psycho uh stalkery of you and all this such of stuff. It's a Japanese game, and I just barely read about it. And she
That's
goes killing off other
terrifying.
characters because she's jealous of them, but like they're really really killed. Like you can't use this character now because she killed it because she didn't like it when you used it. And yeah, there's all sorts of creative stuff people are doing with that shit. And then on top of that, if you just think of like the programming, that's one of the reasons it's kind of harder for me to watch and get into Avengers and all that sort of stuff. Is like if you play a little bit of video games, you like if a movie's out, I really want to see kind of some natural special effects,
Hmm.
because if it's CGI, games are already games are already ahead of it. Like, so if something looks like a video game, it really seems dull if you're not playing it.
Right.
So if you got a movie, you better make your shit look better than a video game, or
Right.
it's just, you know.
Right.
So, but
Interesting.
um, but some people do that good. Just every once in a while, you still watch movies and you're like, this CGI is shit, you know. And other times, they're doing an awesome job with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of one of the other things that people flipping out about these movies and stuff. Like, even recently, there was movies that were totally feminist and people were fine with it. Like Fury Road was totally feminist and everybody loved it. You know what I mean? Because it was a good movie. You know, it's just such a lie. 'Cause I think I sent you the thing today that people were complaining about Ocean's 8 because it got reviewed by a bunch of white men, and that's the reason why people said it wasn't as good as it was. And you're like, shut up, you know.
Well, it's Ocean's 8. That's just like Ocean's 11, but
Ocean's 11, all
female
women.
cast, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. So they did that to the Ghostbusters. They're doing it to Ocean.
They claim, yeah, but one of the things is like if your movie kind of doesn't do very good, and they're not learning their lesson on it, because the whole thing just happened too with the Han Solo thing flopping, and everybody coming out saying it's the fault of angry white men, and no, it's the fault of your movie being boring. You know, you didn't do good. But they've gotten on this thing of like where they can point at the fault being this identity politics thing.
Somebody else's fault, man.
Somebody else's fault because they weren't enlightened enough to dig what we were doing, you know, because we put out a shit movie, but we had everybody be the right identity, so it was deep, so deep, man, you know. And
oh well, is what it is, man. What are you gonna do?
it'll
What's the
transfer
answer?
out because that stuff's gonna keep underperforming, and that's gonna be the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think, and it's one of the things behind our album, which just dropped, is we do kind of have maybe a philosophy that narrative's making a comeback. You know what I mean? Like all this like anti. I don't even know what to call it. Like. Maybe just to go with the Star Wars thing a little bit, that it's an opera or a hero narrative or a narrative of the learning person trying to become the ideal or whatever. That's kind of been unpopular for a while. You know, it's kind of been nihilistic in some ways of like everything's just gonna like, I don't want to say like Sopranos or something like that, but it's just kind of like there's no higher thing that we're trying to say or work towards or meaning. Kind of the same with the thing with the mumble rap. The mumble rap is everything's depressing and I don't really care. You know what I mean? And I think what we released is kind of the opposite of that a little bit. Like, it's just we care. You know what I mean? And for a while it was not cool to say we care. And going back to the commercial thing. Do you ever just like stop and look around and be like, all the super alternative look is McDonald's commercials now? You know what I mean? Like you're the commercial, you know, you're supposedly super alternative, not caring. I even kind of noticed it in like the announcers' voices, man. Mm-hmm. Like there was a time frame where announcers used to be like, "Come check this shit out because it's great and we love it and it's so good," or "You will come try it and it'll be great." And it was just this kind of Friday. Yeah, but notice, I even think it was worse a little while ago. But notice, like even announcers kind of got into this thing of, "Yeah, you can check out McDonald's or not, man. We're cool. We're cool. It's only $2.99." Yeah. And it's like they like even the announcers kind of picked up on that it wasn't cool to care. And like at some point you guys are the boring ones. You guys are the boring mainstream. You know what I mean? You think you're the alternative cool ones and you're not. You're the boring ones. And and I think when we drop our thing, we've all kind of been like one of the things we like about country. We had an argument this week if we were country or not, and we're not exactly country. It's just we couldn't choose what we are unless we put it under a country banner on a CD Baby or whatever. We kind of call ourselves alt country or Americana, and that was maybe a subgenre of country. But one of the reasons why we kind of always liked country, even though we aren't country, is that they're cool with the story. They're cool with the song not just being like strung together. Dewey Cox performing Bob Dylan lyrics. You know what I mean? It's we actually like if you read through our lyrics, they mean something. They have a story to them. And I don't think they're as obtuse as country songs either. We're not like saying, I went and saw my grandma and she was dead and I felt bad. We buried her. Things are sad. You know, like I mean, that's probably even too deep for a normal country song. What's their typical thing? Like, but country songs tell stories, man. They don't shy away from stories, and there's this kind of whole thing, like in the rock world and the avant-garde world, where rock got into. We can only be avant-garde. We can only be esoteric and have not really sensible lyrics, and because we want to sound artsy and either that or some sort of political propaganda and I'd say we're still rock, but we're gonna sing about stuff about what we're trying to do or care about or figure out. You know what I mean? Not trying to. I don't know. I don't know if I'm even making sense with that, but
I'm following you, man.
one of our other friends from another band put a thing out like, I miss the old rock and roll world where like guys were like rode hard and they were just drinking and sleeping with women and doing all sorts of stuff, and now you know, nobody's like that anymore. And I'm like, the reason is because rock and roll is supposed to be alternative. It's supposed to be rebellious. The problem is now, and this is one of the hard things about music, is rebellious is the mainstream. You know, like the nose ring is the mainstream. Nose ring is the McDonald's commercial. No, you know, face tattoo is the guy taking the guy working the front desk at at the corporate office. You know what I mean? Like I think acting like you don't care and you're too cool for it and you're nihilistic is the boring mainstream now. And in a way, I kind of feel like us trying to write stories and care and show that we're people who care, or are doing the dad rock and we're not nihilistic, is in a way rebellious. You know what I mean?
Right. I see where you're going now. Where you went. Where you were trying to get to.
Yeah. The reason there's that stuff is not as popular anymore is because it's boring. It's what everybody is. Everybody's supposedly non-monogamous, sleep around.
So now you're a total badass for just being with one woman.
It's like I keep joking, like no tattoo's the new tattoo.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's that on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? Like the alternative is being monogamous and staying with your woman, or you know, I don't know, whatever, caring to become better.
Woman? What's wrong with you, man?
And I'm telling you, we're the rebellions in rock
only
now.
with one
We're
woman.
we're gonna
What
talk
are
about we're gonna talk about trying to be good monogamous and good fathers and parents, and that's rebellion in rock now, because the other thing's been the mainstream for 50 years.
Right.
You know, and I'm not really saying that like facetiously. I really think it's true. Like, I really think the way rock needs to, the reason why rock is dying is because that rebellion's boring now. Rock's supposed to be about rebellion. So what's the rebellion now? Caring. Caring is the rebellion.
You can't care, dude.
Yeah, caring is.
Don't care.
Caring is not cool. It's not mainstream. It's not. I go to McDonald's because I don't care. Why?
That probably really is the reason people eat at McDonald's, because they don't care.
Well, it really is, but what I'm just saying is, like, the commercial people of McDonald's or whatever, I just keep saying McDonald's, but you see it with anybody, is they get that, like, the zeitgeist is acting too cool for everything, you know, and it's boring, you know. Maybe it wouldn't be boring if it wasn't what everybody was doing, you know, and I don't know. I don't even know how we got on that, but like it's just
a good spot to wrap up on, man. It's Father's Day today.
You gotta do Father's Day. You gotta go be rebellious and care about being a father.
I'm gonna go spend some time with my daughter. Give her a hug. Let her know how much I love her.
I'm telling you, and I'm not joking. I'm not joking or I'm not joking. That's the rebellion.
I might just take my dog on a walk around the block. Give him a little scratch behind the ear. Tell him he's a good boy. Rebel.
And that's rock and roll.
Fuck yeah.
That's what it's going to be, because
Fuck yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's alternative now.
Hell yeah, man. I'm all about being alternative these days.
No tattoo's the new tattoo.
Bummer.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
It's not a bummer.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Swinging Lights, then please take a moment and head on over to iTunes and give us 5 stars. God damn it. That's how iTunes works. It works off of algorithms. If you can help us out in that way, that would be very beneficial. If you don't like the podcast, just unsubscribe. It's that easy. If you're interested in what we're doing, the new music we've just released, and you want to know what shows we're playing, go over to theswinginglights.com and you can find all that information there. Once again, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Temptation comes, temptation goes.